Happy Tuesday. Happy Tuesday. It is Tuesday, February 27th. I am so glad that you are here with me. As you can see, I have a very special guest, and I'm so excited that she is here with me. This is a new segment that I am starting where I am interviewing publishing professionals, and we are going behind the scenes, hearing about all the things, talking with agents and authors and editors and publicists and marketers and publishing professionals as a whole. So I'm so excited that you are here. Thank you, Barb, for being here with me and being on this interview.
Oh, I'm so glad to be here. I love that we get to have a conversation about something that's near and dear to my heart.
All right, so let me jump right in because you provide this wonderful bio, and I want all the folks to know all about your wonderfulness. So, Books and Such literary agent Barb Roose loves partnering with aspiring and established authors to achieve their publishing career goals. As a traditionally published author with past award-winning experience, sales, and megachurch executive leadership, Barb understands the tension and triumphs embedded in a writer's publishing journey. Her heartbeat is helping others achieve their goal as well as increase representation and publishing opportunities for people of color. Barb represents both Christian adult fiction and Christian nonfiction, with an emphasis on nonfiction, which is my absolute favorite. Barb lives in Northwest Ohio and is the proud mother of 3 adult children. Whenever possible, Barb prefers to eat dessert first, which is absolutely my favorite. She welcomes query that meets agency submission guidelines at booksandsuch.com. Thank you for that, Barb.
I appreciate you sharing a little bit more information. Love it.
No problem. No problem. So I want to jump into finding out which came first for you, the speaking or the teaching or the writing.
Well, so if we want to just run it all the way back, it was writing. I was just a young girl who fell in love with words. It was something that seemed so normal to me, but as I got older and recognized, like in elementary school and junior high, I recognized that my friends thought I was a little on the weird side because I loved words so much, especially as a brown-skinned kid. But then writing soon followed. I had a 6th grade English teacher named Pete Frazier. He had retired from his original career in the oil industry, and he became a teacher in his 50s. And he encouraged me to write, which was unusual because I grew up in a community that was more than 95% Caucasian. And he saw something in me and nurtured that. And so at an early age, I had champions in my parents who they just kept encouraging me to read, even though they made me still go outside and play. And then Pete Frazier, as well as many others, I was blessed to have people who saw something in me and cheered me on.
Now, did you write for like high school yearbook, newspaper, journalism?
Yes, I wrote for my high school newspaper, and I'm streaming this on my, I call it my local Facebook page. Some people would call it their personal. Mine's local because it's a mix of a lot of people, including perhaps some hometown friends. And so go Medina. So I wrote for the Medina Mite. I think that was the name of our school paper. And I was also the copy editor for a number of years. And so at 16 and 17, I had a chance to rework my friends' work, and I had no idea what that would mean for me later in life.
Nice, nice. I love that. So tell me about your transition into Agenton. What was that like?
Well, I spent many years in the business world and then even more years on staff at my local church that I still attend at Cedar Creek Church. And so I had a leadership role there. I was a teaching pastor. And then in 2013, I attended the Proverbs 31 She Speaks conference. And that's where I met my publisher. And so my first book came out in 2015. And I essentially, I left my role, full-time paid staff staff role at the church to become a full-time speaker and writer. And I think there was probably, I think there was 7 books or so after that. And then George Floyd happened in 2020. And I had a book that released the first week in the pandemic, my Surrendered, Letting Go, and Living Like Jesus Bible study. And that Bible study was written at one of the toughest times in my life. It was about letting go of control. And it came out the first week of the pandemic. And I was like, well, look at God. And I was under contract to write a devotional about letting go of control. And so all of this is going on with George Floyd. And so we've got the pandemic. I've got a book that's released, but I can't travel. But yet it's a good thing that a book on letting go is released. I'm trying to write a book, but like George Floyd's happening. And so my head's feeling weird. And then I get a phone call from the owner of my literary agency. And I'd been a part of the agency since 2014. And she asked if I would want to become a literary agent. And I was stunned. Never saw it coming, almost fell off my chair. Literally, not lying, almost fell off of my chair.
So tell me how you navigated as a writer and as an author during that time. Like, how were you able, obviously you're on deadline, and I know you have to stick to your deadline, but how were you able to navigate that mentally and emotionally with all that was going on in the world?
It was a hot mess in a handbasket lit on fire. Like, really, because George Floyd was, it wasn't, it was tragic enough that he was murdered. But for me, and I think if I can, I don't want to speak on behalf of other people of color, particularly Black people, but I think that Black people resonate. It became an existential crisis. It was a crisis of, am I safe in the skin that I'm in this world that I live in? And it's hard to make decisions about one's life and future when you feel like you are stuck in a survival mode, and you know, like in your head, you go, I should be okay going outside and going to the store and getting in my car. But there's something about that particular incident that just shifted. And so at the time, our amazing agents, Books and Such agency owner, Janet Grant, I asked her for some time to think about it. And it was because I was having a hard time just getting through the day. And then any energy that I had left, I was trying to get this book done. And then any energy I had left, I'm like, I got a book to launch. And so she was very gracious and understanding. And I thought about it and I prayed about it. It took about 6. I
All right, I think you're back.
I think I'm back. I was like, wait, where did I go? All right. So just in case I was not sure, I kept talking, but let me just jog on back a little bit. I wanted to help people become successful. And because I had people all throughout my life who had reached back, who had helped me along, even when I wasn't sure what I was doing, this was a door that God had opened so that I could step up and I could help other authors like me who didn't know anything about publishing. And then also I could help particularly authors of color.
Mhm, mhm. Understood that. I've been talking to a couple different authors, and we kind of land on that part of of the world. And I'm like, well, how did you navigate? What did you do to kind of navigate that whole situation? And so most of the insight that I've gotten from other authors and conversations have been really, really helpful because I personally want to know, like, how are other people navigating 2020 now that we're in 2024? Like, looking back on that, what was going on in your life? What was going on in your world? And how did you navigate that time in that space. So I'm really glad that we talked about that for a little bit. I want to go back to you writing this Bible study. Like, I know devotionals are different than Bible studies, but tell me, what was that process like?
Well, every process is different. I actually just yesterday I started, I think it was Bible study number 8. So I've been a Bible study author for a while. I also write trade books. And so my 10th and 11th book will be released in August. Every process is different, but it really very much starts with just sitting down and in thinking. Well, first is prayer. And I know it sounds really kind of like, uh, the projects in traditional publishing are 55,000 words or sometimes 60,000 words. You aren't going to wake up and get that done by dinner time. It's going to take some effort. And so prayer is in part because the project is always bigger than what I can do. And I still have my whole life, and I cannot do what's required, all of the research, all of the thinking. Bible studies are scripture, but also written in such a way that it's accessible so that it keeps a person's attention. So there's got to be some creativity to it as well. So the process of writing a Bible study is starting with prayer and then sitting down and mapping out what is the goal and the aim of the Bible study. And I'm not talking about teaching in context. I'm not talking about proper exegesis, but what I'm talking about is, what is the reader's experience going to look like? And that is an important facet, whether if somebody's out there and you're thinking about self-publishing or traditional publishing. uh, as a literary agent, when I'm reviewing projects, I need to know that that potential author understands what type of user experience they want to create for that reader, because we're competing for readers' time. And so how is what you're writing going to be a valuable return on investment for their time? Does that make sense?
Mhm, mhm. Yeah. We always talk about like reader benefits and reader takeaways and how are you leaning, how are you turning towards the reader in your writing, or is it just like I'm above you and I'm talking down to you instead of like collaborating with you and talking to you at the same time. So that is great. I'm super curious about Bible studies because I'm like, well, how did this project come to be? I've seen how devotionals are, but how did Bible studies come to be? So that's really wonderful that you leaned into that and answered that question.
Well,
Um,
and if I could add a little bit, for anybody who's interested in Bible studies, one of the questions that I always ask potential clients are, do you do Bible studies? I am pitched Bible studies by people who actually don't do Bible studies. So it is very difficult to write into a market that you haven't had experience in. I do Bible studies all of the time, and I don't do I don't do my Bible studies. I do other people's Bible studies because I want to see exactly how they approach it. It also helps me understand what is in the market, what is selling, what is it that readers are gravitating toward. And so for any particular genre that someone wants to write about, it's really important when you're talking to a literary agent that you actually have participated in that. And when people say things like, my project is the only one out there, that's how I know that they have not done their research.
that brings up two thoughts. The first one is, as soon as you said it, I thought of like trends in the publishing space where people are like, oh my goodness, devotionals are trending, so I have to write a devotional. It doesn't matter if I've never read one. I can Google one and see that there's a scripture and there's a snippet and there's a Bible verse. And here I am. I'm writing a devotional because devotionals are selling like hotcakes now.
And people can. You can. I as a writer, I do all kinds of writing that have nothing to do with my publishing career. And it is because I love writing. But if someone wants to wake up and they want to do a project just because everybody's doing it, they can. It's what happens after you write the project. That's where reality starts to set in. Now, if someone wants to go off and they want to go to Amazon KDP and jump into that program and self-publish, or Ingram Spark, or go right ahead. God bless you. Use it to bless others. But traditional publishing is a path that has a lot of gatekeeping for specific reasons. And so just because someone writes something, that doesn't necessarily mean that the doors are going to fling wide open to traditional publishing. So that's the 1-2 on that.
Yeah, yeah, very, very true. I always think about trends and what's in the marketplace and what
Mhm,
readers want to see more of, what sells well, what doesn't sell well, and then just
mhm.
trying to determine what is it about it that's not selling well. Um, you mentioned Proverbs 31, and I
Mhm.
wanted to know, are there other places you suggest that those who want to lean into traditional publishing, are there places that they should start?
There are so many places, but I also have to add a caveat here. I'm still okay. So yesterday I got bangs because I was having a bad hair day, and so I'm still trying to figure out how to work them. So I keep sorry for those who are like, "Why does she keep touching her hair?" It's because my I don't know how to work my bangs. Okay, so what I'm going to share is specifically leaning toward Christian publishing. I do not have a lot of tentacle or a lot of extension into the traditional market. We call that the general market. I have partnered up and taught with the Writing Day workshops that were founded by Chuck Sambucino, who used to be with Writer's Digest. But that is the extent of my general market. So if you're out there and you want to write non-faith based, if you want to write non-Christian, you can check out the Writers' Day conferences. Those are all over the country. But when it comes to the Christian market, there are amazing conferences that are out there. I'm going to miss one, and I've taught at a lot of them. And so if my friends are out there and you're part of the conferences, I love and care about you. Things like Proverbs 31, She Speaks, that I have attended, that I have presented and spoken at it. That is mainly for women who are interested in teaching, speaking, preaching. So you can go to She Speaks conference, the West Coast Christian Writers Conference. That is a longtime venerable conference on the West Coast. It's coming up again in November. The Vision Writers Conference used to be formally back in the day Mount Hermon. That actually is at the end of March, and I had hoped to teach at that, but my schedule wouldn't permit. I don't know how many spaces are left. But the Blue Ridge Christian Writers Conference is at the end of May. It's the week of Memorial Day. It's about 600 people. This is the first year in years I haven't been able to go, but I strongly suggest that. The Oregon Christian Writers Conference, that will be in June. I will be teaching at that one, as well as earlier in June at Write to Publish in Chicago. So that's a Midwest conference. And there are so many more. And right now, I like ACFW, the American Christian Fiction Writers. If you're a novelist and you write specifically in Christian fiction, that's in the fall. It's in New Orleans. And again, I am highly aware I am leaving out some amazing conferences, and I am shuddering, but I would love for you to Google Christian Writers Conferences. And then I also have a blog post at booksandsuch.com, which is my literary agency. If you go to the blog and search Writers Conferences, I have a post that I did, I think like 2 years ago or 3 years ago, that lists out the conferences that people can check out.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. I want to know, as an agent, um, what are some highs and lows of your role?
Oh, that's a great question. The highs are always celebrating with clients. This year, I've got a number of clients who they have their first books that are coming out. And it is exciting for me because I know that they had to put in a lot of hard work. My client Jenny Erlingson, she is a BIPOC author who is a novelist, and that has been an area of Christian publishing that needs substantial growth. She has her first debut novel coming out with a major Christian publisher in June. She happens to live in Iceland. She just got back home to Iceland after a couple months in the States. Prasanta Verma, another client of mine, I actually have a podcast interview coming up with her in just a bit today. But her book comes out this year with IVP. I have other clients later this year, Sheila Wise Rowe and her husband, Dr. Nicholas Rowe. They have a beautiful leadership book that is coming out later this fall, and it is about healing from leadership trauma. And so those are the highs of celebrating. I'm trying to racking my brain right now. I think Rachel Britton is another client who has a book with Our Daily Bread coming out. And so these are exciting moments. I think the lows that come in are when I am working with a client on a project that they have poured their heart and soul in. And we have gone to numerous publishers and we've presented the project and we hadn't been able to find a home. And so one of the lows is having those hard conversations with the client in brainstorming but it can lead to a high again, because we just say, okay, that wasn't the client that wasn't the project that would hit right now. However, let's brainstorm something new. And so what is one of the toughest parts of the job for me in telling a client that I think this project isn't going to have the traction, we also turn it into an upswing because we get busy brainstorming something new.
I love that. I love that. It makes me also wonder. Well, first, most of the clients that you did mention is on my prayer schedule, so I'm super excited. I'm like, yep, I know that. Yep, I know that name. Yep, I know that name.
Right.
um, it, it also makes me wonder, like, what are the characteristics that you think that writers, authors, agents should possess as they are stepping into traditional publishing or self-publishing?
So when I'm talking with potential clients, whether I'm teaching or whether they're pitching, there are three things that I generally start the conversation with. And the very first thing is, and this is specific to traditional publishing, but this can translate over to if somebody wants to self-publish. But the first is a wow concept. Do you have a concept that people go, oh, I need to find out more? There are lots of different ways that we can write about any topic, but it doesn't mean that how you're writing about it has the wow factor. It should have the kind of motivation that somebody would go, I got to put that in my cart right now. Far too many people have these ideas for books, and what it translates is a potential customer goes, oh, that's nice. Maybe I'll come back to that later. So a wow concept is an idea, whether it is a novel or whether it is a nonfiction book that you know people are going to want to put in their cart right now. The second is what I call compelling writing. And it's not just having good writing skill, but it's knowing how to communicate to an audience to emotionally move them, whether it's a novelist or a nonfiction. Can you write in a way where they can sense change, transition, an emotional response, and it's going to captivate them? And then the third thing that I'm looking for is platform. And there are lots of conversations around platform, but whether you are traditionally pursuing traditional publishing or self-publishing, you need to have an audience. The first thing that having an audience does is it gives you that social proof that's needed, that other people like what you're doing, and that lets you know you're on the right track. If you do not have social proof, if you don't have people who are resonating with your message, that should give you an indication that you're going to want to go back and retweak some things. The second is your audience gives you a snapshot or an indication as to how successful you will be with a project that you're going to have. And then the third thing, particularly for traditional publishing, is that in many cases, the size of an author's following, if it's a following that is built on that author's message, it is a solid indicator to publishers as to how successful a publisher can be with the book. So this is part of why platform is such an important discussion. But the last thing that I want to say is what it also one of the most misunderstood, underrepresented benefits of platform is it provides you a now opportunity to make a difference in others' lives. Every week, I write a devotional called Happy Monday. I don't have a book coming out every week, nor do I talk about my books every week, because people do not want to listen to authors go, and my book, and my book, and my book. That gets on people's nerves. However, for me, every week I have an audience that they receive an email devotional from me, 6 a.m. Eastern Standard Time every Monday. And I get to write about different themes or ideas. Some are from my book, some are from my life, but I am writing to them in the lane of where of how they connect with me. And so I communicate with women who want to live beautifully, strong and courageous and overcome fear because they want to live out God's great adventure of faith and purpose for their lives. So everything I talk about in Happy Monday, it's going to follow in that lane. And so I get a chance every week to do something positive and lasting in the lives of women. And so if you're listening out there and you're thinking about traditional publishing or self-publishing and you're feeling a little frustrated, when you know the avenues where you can serve people now, there will be an ROI later if you do it right, but you also get the precious blessing of knowing that you are doing something important in the lives of people now. What do you think about that?
That is good. That is good right there.
Oh,
Can
oh yeah.
you can you tell me, you mentioned the wow concept and the compelling writing and the platform. Can you mention some ways that you would encourage those who's just like, I think my concept is okay. Like, what are some ways that I could kind of test it out? Do I need to join community so I can kind of test out my concept, or do I need to join small groups where I can, have beta readers and we can talk about our platforms and we can talk about our writing? What would you suggest for them?
Well, the very first thing that I suggest is you start from where you are at, where you are having where you got what is it that you feel passionate about that meets a felt need for other people. And so those two things should have an intersection. And once you figure out what that is, then it's going, okay, then where are those people at? Sometimes it looks like starting a Facebook group. Sometimes looks like starting a YouTube channel. Sometimes it looks like if I talk faith-based, it looks like starting to speak at MOPS groups. If you're a novelist, it might be joining a local writers group in your community. But where it all begins at is you understanding what is it that you are passionate about and where does that meet up with the need that a potential reader would have? Because if your goal is, I need to get people to get on board with what I'm doing, we have to meet a need. And as you meet the need, part of like Happy Monday, I stumbled into it. Like there were a bunch of other things that I was doing, and I was like, well, Monday is a hard day, and I write about a lot of hard topics. I have a book on worry and anxiety, letting go of control, unanswered prayer. My new books are coming out on stress and overwhelm. But I was like, well, what's the hardest time of the week for people? It's Monday morning. And so I was thinking, okay, I want to write to women in these hard topics, and I need to reach them at a time that's the hardest time of the week for them. So I'm going to write a devotional and call it Happy Monday. Well, I used to do it like once, or I did it twice a month. And then I was started doing it every week. Well, every week was hard, and I was about to stop. And a year or two ago, my friend Jill Savage, who's another author, and she said, Barb, why would you stop something that women are writing you every week about and saying thank you? oh, I am here to serve them and to invest in their lives, not just, hey, I'm going to do this when it's convenient and then buy my book when I have a book.
That's good. That's good. That is a really great point because it reminds me of like it reminds me of platform, right? You're serving your audience and
Mhm.
they are now telling you what your platform is doing for them, whether it's a post that you put out or a devotional that you put out or an article that you put out there. They're not just being like, oh, that was great. I just clicked the like button or the heart button on Instagram. They are intentionally telling you, no,
Mhm.
like this is amazing. I enjoy this. I want more of this. Can you do more of this and all of that? I love that. I love that.
And can I say for those who are listening, you don't have to do all of the things. Find one or two things that you know are going to make a difference. More is not necessarily better. More is a lot of spinning gears. One observation that I have when I'm at conferences, particularly amongst nonfiction authors who want, and a lot of women who want to break into traditional publishing, and I say, "Hey, tell me about your platform." And they're doing 12 different things. And I am tired by the time they list out everything that they're doing. I'm exhausted. They're like, I got a YouTube channel, and then I got a conference, and then I have online courses, and then I've got a blog. And then I was like, whoo, now I am full time plus I, whoo. So you don't have to do everything. Some traction on a couple of things and do those really well.
Yeah, that's good. That's good. Because I've seen and I've attended places where they're like, you have to have this and this and this, and then the platform numbers, and it has to reach a certain amount. And you're like, platform? Like, I know what that is, but how am I going to get a million people on Instagram to like something I'm doing?
And that is attention. And it doesn't have to be a million, but
Mhm.
we do need healthy numbers. That is the reason for having a strategic focus on what you are doing. It again, if I can make another suggestion for a resource at booksandsuch.com, that is our agency blog. Books and Such Literary Management's been around. This is our 27th year, and our agents have just an incredible wealth of experience. And so every week we have a blog. It's been a couple of years. This was actually a workshop I taught at Proverbs 31 back in 2018, and it's something that I still teach called Platform ABCs. And so if you go to our Books and Such website, I actually have that blog there. Just go to blog and search ABC strategy. And I will walk you through strategically how to look at all of the platform opportunities that are available. And I have three leading questions for each category on the best use of your time, effort, resources, and energy so that you can pick the platform opportunities that are right for you.
That's a great plug because I know people that are looking at it now. It's like, do I need to be on TikTok? I have to be on TikTok. I have to create reels. I have to do this. I have to do this. It's like, no, wait, no, wait a minute before you go all crazy, get on all the social media and not do anything because you're overwhelmed by all the platform and all the algorithm and trying to figure out what works and what doesn't work and just breathe.
Go to the blog post, truly. I had to develop that for myself because when I first when I first had my first book come out, I was still working full time on staff at my church. I was an executive pastor. I was a teaching pastor. I still had some kids at home. I didn't have all day in and out to do 50,000 things. So I needed to come up with a strategic plan for how to start my ministry while keeping my job. So that blog post is part of that was the strategy I developed. And again, if you find yourself in that spot where you're like, how do I do everything? I'm not sure. That blog post will offer some really helpful strategic information, but also help you take a deep breath, calm down, and get some more sleep.
Absolutely, absolutely. As we wrap up, can you tell us where they can find you? How can they connect with you?
Well, you can start by going to my online home at barbroose.com. So that is kind of the land where I gather up online. And if you stop by barbroose.com, one of the things I love gifts. So everybody who stops by my online home, there's always a gift there. So if you scroll down on the home page, it's going to look like my author speaker life. But there will be a pop-up there, and I have this beautiful, fun ebook that I created called 100. It's called Taking Care of You, 101 Self-Care Tips for Tough Times. And so it's 101 self-care, physical, mental, spiritual, emotional. And I've got links to different resources, different concepts that you can, in tough times, I started doing 3 a day. And it was like a promise to myself that I would do 3 nice things for myself each day. So if that's something you need to do for yourself, you can go download it. If you want to find out more about me as an agent, there's a tab there under About Barb. You can click it. It'll drop down, and everything you'll need to know about my agent life is there. And if you want to find out about my speaking or books, you can click on those tabs. Listen to some podcast episodes. Everything you need is right there at barbroose.com.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. Is there anything else you would like to share with the lovely folks that are listening and watching?
Well, I want to give a couple of shout outs, since I do have it streaming on my Facebook page, to Robin W. Pearson, who is with our Books and Such agency. Robin's book, Dysfunction Junction, just came out about 2.5, 3 weeks ago. She is one of our incredible, talented authors. Oh my gosh, Luverta, you just blessed my heart. Oh, Robin, I hope you are here to see this girl. So this is Robin's new book with Tyndale, Dysfunction Junction. Oh, Luverta, that is so sweet for you to grab that. So, I think she saw it. She sent a kissy face. So Robin, good to see you. Brittany Stone Street, thanks for joining. I saw my precious client, Hannah. Back. Okay. I think we're back. I love that I froze like this. Oh my goodness. Come on. Are we back? I love that I froze like this with my hand, like, just, I don't know. Is that the Star Spangled Banner? Something like that. Pledge of Allegiance. There we go. Woo! Well, so I just want to say thank you to everyone who joined us for today's live conversation.
Wonderful. I actually met Robin this past weekend, and so she is amazing. So happy to meet her. I love her. She's so kind and hospitable. Love her.
And that is exactly who she is, without a doubt. She is one of our tremendous, tremendous Books and Such clients. And I love being a part of the agency with her and the other almost 300 authors. And so if you're out there, you're also thinking about finding a literary agent, you can go to booksandsuch.com.
Thank you, thank you, thank you so much, Barb. I really appreciated this conversation with you. Thank you for saying yes and hopping on with me.
Thank you very much. I am glad that technology hung in there. Not sure what was going on, but thank you so much for the invitation to be up with you today.
Alrighty, have a wonderful day.
Bye-bye.